energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
In answer to his question about the subjects.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Command, talk today.
Oh, what a compliment. For that, I thank you.
What is happening now? There are hopeless and hungry.
Now it's time for us to stand up to God or we fall to nothing.
It's time now for Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Listening to the general public, what the public is saying.
Good afternoon. I am Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks this afternoon on Talk Today. We have a pretty full show this afternoon. Our first guest is Mr. Michael Miles. He's the owner and director of Inspire Cayman Training. Have you lost your job in tourism or the water sports industry? Michael will be talking about 12 scholarships offered by Build Your Future Cayman to help those whose employment was impacted during COVID. Following our discussion with Michael, we will welcome Taryn Stein, who's a trained dietitian and habit-changing life coach, whose mission in life is to empower women. We'll be discussing intuitive eating and mindfulness. What's your relationship with food like? Taryn will give us a deeper look at our eating habits and our relationship with food. And then from 2 p.m., we will be having open mic. We're going to throw it back for a quick little message, and then we're going to go right into our interview with Mr. Miles.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, Cayman. Your host, Kathy Miller, today filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Please remember to give us a call at 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8037 or 949-6990. You can also WhatsApp us a message at 925-3261. Our first guest is Michael Miles. He is the owner and director of Inspire Cayman Training and also started the nonprofit organization Build Your Future Cayman. As Joelle, one of our DJs, likes to say, we have positive Mondays on Radio Cayman, and I think we're bringing some very positive news this afternoon.
Absolutely.
How are you doing, Mr. Miles?
I am very well, thanks, Kathy. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's good to have you. And right before we started the show, I'd mentioned why I wanted to invite you on when I saw, it was on LinkedIn, that I saw that you had shared through Build Your Future Cayman, through that page on LinkedIn.
Yep.
You had shared something about 12 scholarships are being offered.
Yep.
To Caymanians or people with permanent residency who may have lost their jobs or their jobs have been impacted due to COVID in the water sports or tourism industry.
Absolutely.
Give us the background there.
So, I mean, we run a licensed accredited training center. It's licensed through the Ministry of Education. It's accredited. We have about at least 4 or 5 accreditations internationally in a variety of different areas, from construction to potty to different things. The goal for me right now is to support as many Caymanians that I can afford to support to get back to work, to transition back to work. We know that the hospitality, water sports industries have been hit quite hard. And we know that with the possibilities of us opening up in the next few months, our people are going to need some level of retooling or at least some level of support, whether it's to get a resume done. Let's start to look at interview skills, and let's start to look at, do you want to go back into the same job, or is there something else that you'd like to go back in? So I don't talk jobs anymore. I talk career paths now. When I created Inspire about 2.5 years ago, I didn't want to just focus on getting people jobs, because quite frankly, a lot of people come to us and they either have a job or have had many jobs. The goal is right now, do we want our people to start looking at building their career into something positive, rather than going into a job that they hate and then they end up leaving it after a few months or under a year? I mean, I work with people who've had 5 jobs in a year, and many of these jobs are 3 or 4 months long. So when we started looking at the hospitality industry, I also reached out to members of the Cayman Islands Tourism Association board. So I've been meeting with them. I've reached out to WORC, and I've been meeting with them as well. And then we started looking at what can we do different. How can we start looking at not just training, but placement? Because training is training, and it's great to do training, but at the end of this, it has to be where they're moving into something that they enjoy, that they like. And with, as I said, looking at when the industry is going to rebound, this is the right time. Probably a little bit late, but it's better than never. We've been able to get funding at this point in time. I mean, retooling should have happened a year ago, but again, we've had a private donor who've come forward, and they're giving us a small donation in order to at least train up 12 people, and that's where I'm going at this point in time.
Well, we know that the tourism industry is perhaps the biggest industry that's been hit the hardest from COVID, and we know that a lot of people have lost their jobs or trying to transition into doing other jobs, perhaps temporarily, but they want to return back to the tourism industry.
Right.
So these 12 scholarships that you're offering are specific for people who have worked or want to work in tourism and in water sports.
Yeah, and I mean, they need to be from that industry, but if they want to transition to another industry, my responsibility is to help them look at what that will take, right? Okay. So part of the donation is helping them. We run a program. We've probably put well over 100 people through our Tools for Success program. It is a very detailed, very measured program in everything to do with employability. We helped develop this course through our international accreditation, NCCER. So the curriculum comes from them, but we've Caymanized the curriculum to suit what we have. What we're doing is looking at how do we help our people get prepared. What is it going to take to transition to another industry? Because a lot of folks, while they want to be in the tourism industry, many of them also want an opportunity in another industry as well. So what is it going to take? So we have now, as part of our catalog of courses, I've invested heavily in online courses, because we know we can't get everybody through the door, because some people are just hustling, right? I mean, they're not going to come. Many of them, they don't have a lot of time to do a full day's class, but can they do a class online? And that's what we have. So we have developed a learning management system. We have over 800 accredited programs, all online, from business to entrepreneurship, you name it, we have it, to accounting. And we want to make sure that everybody has some access. So the donors also including this as part of the sponsorship as well. One of the things that I've insisted a donor help with is things like a stipend. We've noticed that before, when we've offered stipends, people tend to come regularly, consistently, and on time. We also have people that don't know where their next meal is going to come from, so the stipend helps with that, so they can have lunch and certainly catch a bus if that's what it needs to be, or put gas in their car. So we are going to be adding a stipend in there. We join another online organization that we can now get sort of personality testing and sort of career sort of testing as well. So when they take this personality test, it provides us a very detailed report on where these folks want to go. Yes, I want to be a captain or in paddy or whatever, but I also want to be an entrepreneur and I want to get into, to doing other things as well. So if that means now I need to help you sort of understand what you need to do to run a business. So now maybe you now need accounting skills.
Right.
So I need to get you an accounting course and that could certainly mean something like, some soft skills training in understanding what it means to have your stuff on, QuickBooks, right? So we have programs like that are just easy to use, and the training is all accessible.
Well, let's circle back to these 12 scholarships first, and then we'll go into more detail about all the different programs that you do offer, because 800 is a lot.
Sure, yeah.
So there's got to be something out there for people of varying interests, right?
Absolutely.
So these 12 scholarships now, I think it was, Thursday, I think I said that I'd seen the press release that you had put out regarding these scholarships. So you had mentioned that you worked with CETA and workplace opportunities and residency Cayman, right? Yep. So work, we're just going to call them work. Yeah. It's a mouthful. Yeah. So work. And in talking with them, was it noticing there, okay, we will be reopening our borders soon. I think it's October 14th. No quarantine measures are needed for those who are fully vaccinated, I believe.
Right.
And then end of January, we're hoping to just fully open our borders, quarantined or not, or vaccinated or not.
Yeah.
So there is that short time frame now. Just we're looking at 4 months, 5 months possibly until our borders fully reopen to everybody.
Yeah.
And you have these scholarships now being offered. It's 12, and you did say that it's just 12, but that's a huge step, and it's a start for a lot of people, and it's the momentum that could get things going.
It is, Kathy. So, and for 12 scholarships, we've gotten almost 50 people who've applied for 12 scholarships.
How do you discern over who's going to?
I've had to narrow it down to 35 people that we're going to be interviewing over the next week.
Okay.
I can't.
Let's get into that in a second. We've got to go to a quick commercial break, but then when we come back, we'll find out how you go through the scholarship application and process, okay?
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
The HSA Specialist Clinic has relocated to a new, modern, state-of-the-art facility at Smith Road Center to offer you a better patient experience. Receive care from top specialists in chiropractic, complementary and alternative medicine, neurology, ENT, urology, pain management, and more. Our orthopedic and telemedicine clinics remain at the Cayman Islands Hospital campus. Please remember to bring your own face mask when visiting any HSA location. Visit our website, hsa.ky, to learn more. At the HSA, you matter to us.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, and in studio I am here with Michael Miles. He's the owner and director of Inspire Cayman Training, and we are discussing the current 12 scholarships that they are offering to people who have been displaced by COVID in the tourism and water sports industry. So, Michael, right before the break, I'd asked you about the scholarships. How can people apply if they're interested in receiving one of these scholarships? What are the steps they have to take?
Well, the steps right now, I've made it very, very simple. They simply just send me an email at info@inspirecaymantraining.com and just let me know that, you know, they want to apply for the scholarship. And we were looking at shortlisting, and as I said, we've gotten an overwhelming response. I mean, we've gotten well over 50 people that have applied for 12 scholarships. We unfortunately, I mean, what I'm doing now is really just collecting names, and then when I meet with CETA again and work to say, you know, do we have these people in your system? I think another great thing that have come out of this is that all of the folks that are on that are receiving the tourism grant, it's now mandatory for them to register with work. And I think work this past week has been doing a lot of that registration, and folks want training. I mean, I've been saying for years that if we can train up our people, they are going to aim higher, and this is what it is. So a high number of those people are now applying to us for 12 scholarships. Unfortunately, you know, we could only offer 12 people out of the 50 plus people that we've gotten. But what I'm doing is categorizing all of the names. I've shortlisted 35 as of Sunday. Okay. And we will be, as of today, I will be starting to call those people for interviews between Wednesday and next Monday. So we can get those 12 people. And again, we're going to have to cut more people. But
right. To 12, yes.
At least what I'm hoping to do at this point in time is we would have screened at least 35 people, and if all of these people are very worthy of these scholarships, I can then go back to work and CETA and say, okay, we can offer, I've gotten donations for 12, can you match that with the other, 40 people who are from the tourism industry, and we can see how that is.
So when you're coming down to narrowing, you've gotten over 50 applicants so far in just a few days since this has been out, and there hasn't been a radio blast or maybe some stuff on social media. As I said, I saw it on LinkedIn. So in just a few days, it shows how hungry people are for the training and how needed it is in our community.
Absolutely. Well, prior to this, I mean, I have a waiting list of about 50 plus people.
Already prior to this one?
Yeah.
Well, how
prior
do you,
to this,
when you're making that, narrowing down the people who have applied for these scholarships, what are you looking for in these applicants? What is making you say, hey, this is one that I think would benefit more so than over here?
Some people have been in the industry a lot longer. I'm trying not to discriminate. I've done really, Kathy, on a first come, first serve basis. So I started looking at, I've sent this out on Thursday. My cutoff is Sunday. If, all of the folks that have provided me at least an email and let me know what the needs are and what they'd like to do, Sunday's my cutoff, and that's what I've had to do. I mean, I've had to... I think by Saturday evening, I was up to 35, and I've really just taken the first 35 people. The rest of them I've just categorized at this point in time. And hopefully this week sometime, I've set up the folks from work have asked that I set up a phone call with them just to talk about what the needs are. Because I know a number of these people have also registered with them. What now needs to happen is funding.
I was just going to say, it sounds like one of your biggest needs would be funding.
It is funding.
This. So how are you getting the funds to be able to offer these scholarships?
Well, as you mentioned earlier on, I created the Build Your Future Foundation because, one, TVET is still not a funded community program. I can't get funding from the government, so therefore I've had to go out and do it myself. The majority of folks that, and I'm talking about 99% of Caymanians that come through our doors, and last year we trained up over 300 plus people in a variety of different courses. The majority of those people did not come in with funding. So I've had to do something a little bit different to help. So I created the Build Your Future Cayman Foundation because these people needed funding. So I seek funding. So 50% of my time is running Inspire Cayman training. And the next 50% of my time is making sure that the BYF Foundation has funding that when individuals walk through our door, I can at least give either a partial scholarship or help them with a couple of $100 just to make sure that they can have access to the courses that we have. So I'm constantly looking donations. I hate that process, but it is what it is, and I've embraced it the best way I can. But I think this is a time for the community to come together and say, I want to provide funding. I want to sponsor an individual. This is an opportunity for hotels and restaurants and bars to come up and say, this is good for us as well, because we are going to be recruiting from these people.
But so, for example, let's say there was a corporation that has a group of restaurants under their name, and they came to you and said, hey, we offer $50,000 to help train people in the food and beverage industry. And you'd be able to train an X amount of people with that. Wouldn't it benefit that corporation because Absolutely. It would be able to place workers within their restaurants?
Absolutely.
Do you find that kind of a partnership happens?
We haven't yet. And like I said, that's one of the things that I met with CETA about, because the goal for me has always been, I'm looking beyond training. Where are they going to go? I mean, I met with the Contractors Association. I've met with, I think since July of 2018, I've met with over 140 organizations, many of them construction firms and other companies. The goal for me has always been, when we do the training, because I think we got the training solid. It's down. We're preparing people well. I've placed personally 20 people in full-time employment. And I'm not really an employment entity. I am simply a training company. We have another 10 people that's doing apprenticeships. So we are absorbing a lot. What I have said to work is, the goal should be is that I'm doing the training. Halfway through that training, work should be on board to say, okay, Kathy, the Hyatt or the Westin or the so-and-so, they have openings. Once you finish, you are now earmarked to go and interview. I'm not here to guarantee nobody a job.
Right.
What I would prefer is that we guarantee that these organizations at least ensure that you're interviewed, because now you're now a bit more ready and you're now prepared to move into a job. And that's how it should be. So those are the things that I'm working on with CETA and work, is the transition from training to full-time employment. Because I believe that if we can also get the industry is involved, right? The industries have to get involved in this as well. And I've invited loads of organizations to come into our center and present what openings they have.
And have they?
Mixture. I mean, CETA have for now, but there's a lot of organizations who haven't taken us up on that.
What do you think the kickback is for?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Like we've had fosters who've come in. I've invited just on Friday we've had one of the directors from Cayman Airways, because we have a full an automotive program going with 8 kids in it, and these kids want to get into the sector. So I've invited one of the directors from there, and he did a phenomenal job in coming in and presenting on what Cayman Airways have within that sector. We've had a number of organizations that have come in, but, we need more of that. Like, we need a restaurant association, or the CETA and other organizations to come in and present, because I don't know their companies like them. I can't sell them their I can't sell the people that's training their companies, the water sports organizations. We need those people to come in and say, this is what we have, right? This is a training that we need. We need you to come in with the capacity to operate a boat up to 50 feet, and here's where that training looks like. So my job should just be getting the training on board, ensuring that the people are ready to work, and that's what Tools for Success is for. It's, are you doing these, like this checklist? Are you ready to fit into this organization, because this is what they want? And, after speaking to 140 organizations, to be honest with you, Kathy, all of these organizations can do skills training. What they are not doing is the soft skills training, and that's what we are now doing a lot more of.
So soft skills, what would that be for
soft
listeners
skills,
who might not know what you mean?
Absolutely. Communication skills. You're talking about building relationships with customers, with colleagues, working in a team. Diversity is a major one. Attitude, showing up on time, working hard, and really making this to where you're taking ownership of that organization. One of the things in particular a lot of our young people don't understand is that people aren't paying you to just show up for work. People are paying you for you to use your skill sets.
Yes.
Right? You're not there as a volunteer. You're there to be a productive employee. So organizations are saying, I need them to come in ready for that. I need the attitude shift of, if this was your company, how would you run it? Right? So that's what we teach. Assume responsibility for this company and all of the inventory. How would you run it differently? And that's what owners and employers and all of these and hiring managers want from our people. They also want us to be able to compete, right? When I'm in an organization and you're my colleague, I want to outwork you. I'm fierce when it comes to making sure that I stand out. It's one of the things that I teach my kids. Let's stand out. What can you do extra? Can you come in a half an hour early and get the work done? Can you leave a half an hour late? Because you know that you're not interviewing for the job that you're going in. You're interviewing for the next job that you want, right? And that's what I'm sharing with a lot of the people that walk through our door. You're no longer interviewing for a job. You're interviewing for a career. And that, you have to transition from a paycheck to a salary. You have to stop looking for just a job that you're going to punch the clock to a job that you can get more professional experience and develop into maybe when they run in the company.
And as you mentioned, those soft skills are so important because you can have the skills. Anybody can get a basic training. We all have the exact same technical skills in how to do something. But when it comes to communicate how things get done and to communicate with each other, and as you said, your attitude is a big difference. So while you prepare people with both the technical and the soft skills, you're not placing people in jobs, but you're providing them with that foundational structure to be able to go after that job and sell themselves to get it. That's why I say sales and marketing is one of the most important skills in life ever. We have to go to a next break right now. And when we return, we'll wrap up our conversation, but we'll hit on a few more points. But right now, a commercial break.
Sure.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Hurricane season is here. If you're not prepared, it can really turn your life upside down. Fortunately, there's CG Britcay. Our people are here ready to assist at a moment's notice, with protection like alternative accommodation for those who are displaced due to a storm, and coverage for the cost of clearing debris, hiring surveyors, architects, and more. It's our priority to make sure you have what you need when you need it most. So when your life gets turned upside down, we can help to turn it around. CG Britcay. Good like that.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller in studio filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and with me is Michael Miles, owner and director of Inspire Cayman Training. We were talking about what they offer at Inspire Cayman Training and the current 12 scholarships that Michael has almost filled, as he's told me. And, you know, on that note, we were just discussing the technical and soft skills that all of the trainees will be going through to go through their whatever they want to train in, really, right? Yeah. But you have so many people, so you've had over 50 applicants in just a few days. Mm-hmm. We mentioned that there's such a hunger for it and a need for it, an obvious need for it. But one of the reasons why you can't sponsor or offer more than 12 scholarships is because of the funding. There's a lack of funding. Yep. And I believe earlier you mentioned that you're not getting support from government. Am I correct?
There's no direct support between the government and TVET when it comes to community programs like mine.
Do you know why?
Don't know why. I've met with a number of people within the Ministry of Education to inquire on what needs to happen, and nobody can tell me why folks that are coming to my institution or going to Cayman Career Academy, for example, which does cosmetology.
Right.
No one can tell me why.
Is there a TVET within UCCI?
There's TVET within UCCI that gets funding.
Right. So to me, okay, in understanding that, so you mentioned Cayman Career Academy, which I'm not sure if they get funding from government or not, but TVET from UCCI obviously does. So UCCI is a University of the Cayman Islands College, so there's that. What would be the difference between offering a scholarship overseas and offering something local? So if somebody bounced back and said, well, you know, it's within a government facility, I mean, a scholarship overseas isn't. So why can't that funding go to you?
A person can apply to the Ministry of Education and get funds to go do a construction program, the same construction program that we offer in Cayman, and get $15,000, $20,000. But they can't get the same funding to come into a program with me for $3,000, and it's the same program. So that's the part that I get very confused about and very frustrated about, because no one could say to you why people in Cayman have to leave the country, and we know that 90% of the people aren't going overseas to get these when we can have that same thing here. So I don't know why, to be honest with you, Kathy. I have spoke with a lot of folks in the ministry. I've written letters. I've written a number of different things to inquire, from emails to I've written proposals, and no one could tell me why, because none of that stuff is ever answered. So hence why I've gone in to Build Your Future. I've created a nonprofit because I simply can't wait anymore. And we've had some donations. We need more. I mean, you know, you've just heard me say we've had a phenomenal response, right? And in addition to that, you're going to have, and I know that work has had a lot of people who they've registered that has been getting this tourism grant because now it's mandatory. And I'm pretty sure that those people are going to want some level of training. Well, UCCI can't offer all of this.
Right.
So organizations like mine and other organizations in this country that are licensed should be able to take some of that. And I believe that we've done a great job. In the last year, like I said, we have had over 400 people that roll through our center. Many of them are employed, but they've gotten courses. We are now able to offer even more courses because part of the biggest issues that people have had is time, right? They can't take the time off work to come to us to get a course. So we've fixed that by, buying into our learning management systems that they can now get accredited courses. So we need organizations to come forward to donate money, sponsor someone, right? Sponsor a staff member that you've laid off, that that more than likely you're going to recruit back, but you want them to come in sharper. Like one of the things that employers have consistently talked to us about is providing soft skills training in critical thinking, right? Well, we can do a lot of this stuff, but people have to be able to receive TVET grants or scholarships in order to come to us, because I can't make this free, right? I mean, there's instructors and there's overhead and so forth. We've recently moved to Grand Harbor because we needed a bigger space. And we needed to ensure that we too ourselves are growing in a way that's a bit more organic and manageable and so forth. And moving to Grand Harbor offers us that. We were on Eastern Avenue, and it was brilliant for 2 years, but it was time to move out of there and move into a facility that was also purpose-built. So we did a complete build-out, and we invested a lot for that. But I believe that at the end of the day, Caymanians can excel. We need to start to teach that. And if we're not teaching that in school, we need to ensure that there's a pathway that between high school and the world of work, that there's something else other than UCCI or ICCI going off island.
Well, a lot of people don't
stuff.
want formal education.
Correct.
It's just
and
not.
You're right.
They're not built for that. Their spirit doesn't take to that. It's not their interest. Period.
I agree with you. And those are the calls that we get, right? So
right.
I get calls from parents and saying, "Hey, my kid isn't going to do well at UCCI or ICCI. They simply need a 2 to 3 month program, and they need a transition into the workforce." And we can help with that. The unfortunate is that 90% of these people do not have funds to do that. Hence, as I said, pouring into the Build Your Future funding has been something that we have pushed quite a bit. And I'm also saying to a number of employers, sponsor someone. Mentor someone, coach someone, where they can come to us for a couple of days to get training, and then they work for you for the next 3 days.
So some of the ways people can donate and support Build Your Future and Inspire Cayman training, but with Build Your Future, because that's where the funds is coming from to roll everything out, is to sponsor somebody that they know that are looking
absolutely
to get this training, either donations to make the training happen. Any other suggestions that you would have if people are looking to help out? If corporations
come in, like we want folks to come to the center, and if you have a company and you're looking folks, come to this, call me, you can call me at 939-1301 or send me an email, at info@inspirecaymantraining.com. I'd love to have people come in and just present what their company have in terms of opportunity, because that's what our people need to also know. Not everybody is going to go into a newspaper or certainly go onto the site at work. Right now, we are now developing a closer relationship with work, because there's a lot of folks that come to us has not registered in a jobs Cayman portal. So this past week, or for the last 2 weeks, we've had work in to register those people on site, because I believe that there have to be a formal partnership that regardless of where you are in your sort of job hunting, you have to register with work. So at least work has a clear understanding how many of us that are unemployed, underemployed, or searching for a particular job or a particular skill set. So when they're rolling out their programs as well, they can incorporate a true number of people that want training. So Laura Watler has been gracious in providing me with at least representatives that are now coming in, and I'm telling you, man, that has gone phenomenal, because we have computers and tablets and we have all of the systems in place that they can get all of that stuff. That all I need is an individual from work to come in, and we can get them registered, and then we can then help them upload their resumes and help them applying for jobs. What we have stopped people from doing is applying for hundreds of jobs at a time.
It's more
frustrating when they're doing that. So we are zooming in on, okay, what do you want to do?
Right.
And this is where that personality assessment have come from, that tells them, okay, my strength is with people, so I would prefer to work in something to do with customer service or the hotel industry or accounting or whatever. But at least it's now guided by something, rather than applying to 500 jobs. And you don't really want to work with any of those companies. You're just applying because you're desperate for a job, so you don't get hired. So we're just kind of reteaching some of those things that should have been taught from high school.
All right. We only have a minute before we got to wrap up for the 1 p.m. news here. Final words, if people want to get in touch with you, if donors are looking to get in touch with you, if people want to apply for these scholarships, which we know you've reached your limit with it, but it doesn't mean you're not taking names and you're not taking interest from people. So how they can get in touch.
So, folks can contact me at 939-1301, or they can send us an email at info@inspirecaymantraining.com. Alternatively, the Build Your Future, it's www.buildyourfuturecayman.com. .com. They can go out on that. They, if they want to be anonymous, they can transition the money right from their account to that account. I certainly would like to meet people who are donating to us, because I think it's important, that they understand that it's appreciated. I'm not so concerned anymore about funding coming from the government, because I think that as we develop this, I think as Caymanians, we are very worthy of giving, and this is the great opportunity to give. Since I started Inspire, people have always told me that Caymanians didn't want training, and we've proven them wrong.
Proven them wrong. Over 400 people have gone through your training.
That's it.
You've moved to a bigger facility. You have over 50 people in just a matter of 3 or 4 days that have applied for these 12
Absolutely.
scholarships. I think it means that you're growing and that people want this training.
People want training, and our people want success, right? And that's that's all I want to help with. It's helping people become successful and passing on good knowledge. But I really want business owners and hiring managers to really come in and start to recruit directly from us and meet the people that will perhaps become your future employee.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Miles, for joining us. I appreciate you coming on this afternoon and speaking with me. And we're going to go to the 1 p.m. news.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Cayman Islands government has issued a tropical storm warning for the Cayman Islands. A tropical storm warning means tropical storm conditions are expected within the next 36 hours. The latest forecast track and intensity for Tropical Depression Grace now has the system strengthening to a tropical storm by Tuesday, August 17th, and moving over Little Cayman by late night. A flood and marine warning is also in effect. In international news, rescue workers are rushing to locate survivors of the deadly earthquake that struck Haiti on Saturday as a tropical storm is heading towards the Caribbean nation. At least 1,297 people are known to have died in the 7.2 magnitude quake, and an unknown number are still missing. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has called a snap summer general election as Canada enters into its pandemic fourth wave. The general election comes as polls indicate his minority Liberal government looks within reach of forming a majority. Canadians will vote on September 20th, some 2 years ahead of schedule. The UK government is confident it can get British nationals out of Afghanistan with plans for hundreds more to leave in the coming days, the Defence Secretary has said. Ben Wallace told the BBC the military part of Kabul's international airport was open and secure, enabling those eligible to leave for the UK. The UK is also evacuating Afghans who worked for British forces. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Listen to the general public. Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. We just finished up with Michael Miles, who's the owner and director of Inspire Cayman Training. And in this segment of Talk Today, we're going to feed your mind a little bit. And I'm welcoming Miss Taryn Stein. She's a trained dietitian and habit-changing life coach whose mission in life is to empower women. We're going to be discussing intuitive eating and mindfulness. What's your relationship with food like? And Taryn will give us a deeper look at our eating habits and our relationship with food, explain what intuitive eating is, and hopefully those that know me well will agree to this. Hopefully you can help break my relationship with the M&M cookies from Kirk Supermarkets because, man, I can't stop eating those. So I think this is going to be a great conversation. We'll get a lot of information going. But good afternoon and welcome to Talk Today.
Hi, Kathy. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. It's great to have you. So thanks for joining me. We've been talking about it for a few months, about getting you on the show. So I'm happy I was able to extend the invite this time to make it happen.
Great.
So intuitive eating. Now, your website is mindshiftme.com. So if you're listening in, anybody listening in, just go check out mindshiftme.com. And also you have an Instagram, mind.shift.me.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So if you're on social media, you can check that out too. And you had an about section where you spoke about your reasons into going into this career, basically. And you shared that you used to be a diet, binge, and guilt type of eater.
I was, yeah.
Which I think a lot of us were. So give us a little bit of background on you and how you got into this.
Yeah, so I trained as a dietitian and I was working in the NHS for a long time. And I had my own struggles with my weight, and I was always on a diet, off a diet, starving, binging, feeling guilty, and I had all the nutritional knowledge at my fingertips. Like, I should know everything. And something just was missing. And so I started to do a lot of research and then kind of came across mindful eating, intuitive eating, which we can delve into in a second. And that just completely changed everything, because what I realized is the way we eat, or the why behind why we eat, those psychological reasons of our eating behavior, is fundamental to changing your healthy habits. And without that, then we just play at the surface level of, don't eat that, but we don't know why we're eating those things. And so once you kind of crack that, everything changed for me. So my mind calmed down around food. I didn't have any more binges or cravings. My weight stabilized. I felt more confident in my body. So everything kind of changed. And it filtered into different areas of our life, because we don't realize how much dieting impacts on our relationships, our social life. Like, we don't want to go to that party because we can't trust ourselves around food. And our body image and in our career, and we don't want to stand up in a meeting because we feel self-conscious. Like, all these different areas of our life that it actually affects, we don't realize about. So it made a fundamental difference, and that's why I was like, right, this is me. I've got to teach this stuff.
When you say that you had the information right at your fingertips, do you mean just by like going on Google and looking, or was it you had trained in nutrition, diet, to be a dietitian?
I did a lot
already?
of courses post that on intuitive eating. So it was originally developed by two dietitians in California, I believe, in the 90s. And so there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of courses you can take. I also did like behavioral economics and behavioral science. So you kind of layer on all these different elements to it. But intuitive eating and mindfulness is kind of the fundamental baseline of this kind of way of eating. Yeah.
Okay, so intuitive eating.
Yes.
It sounds like a new trendy name for a diet, but it's not necessarily, it's not a fad diet in the sense of, you must fast and you can only eat between these certain hours, or you can only eat these very certain things, right? So tell us, what is intuitive eating?
Yeah, so I mean, and you touched on it a minute. It has become a little bit of a buzzword, and so you have to be careful what you read in social media, because a lot of, social media feeds have now become intuitive eating and made it into a fad diet, and it's not at all. It's actually an anti-diet, or an alternative to dieting. So it's not about rules or regulations or specific meal plans, which can make it a little fuzzier in the beginning. It's more about learning to tune into your body's natural hunger and fullness signals. So when we're babies and toddlers, we do this instinctively. If you look at a baby, it cries when it's hungry, and it pushes the food away or its mouth away when it's full, right? Instinctively knows this, and we all did. But as we grow up, we kind of disconnect from this natural instinct, and we start to listen to what our parents tell us to eat or model on their behavior around food. Then it's our siblings or our friends, and then it's the diet industry and the media. So we disconnect over time with this natural instinct. So intuitive eating is really just about plugging that cord back in and helping you to understand what's going on in your body, because your body's talking to you all the time, it's giving you signs and signals. So whether that's real hunger, or I'm eating for stress reasons, or just for pleasure, like just because of the taste of it. So that's like your M&M cookies sometimes. Sometimes. And there's a place for that. There's different types of hunger, but there is a place for all of that. And it is about understanding that and getting rid of all this this diet drama, as I like to say. We trap ourselves in this diet prison with all these rules and these regulations, and if we don't stick to all these rules and we break them, then we feel bad and we feel guilty and ashamed. But 95% of people fall off a diet. Like, there's so much research out there that just shows dieting doesn't work for long-term health and weight loss. And so this is kind of a more gentle or alternative approach to going, actually, let's see what's going on behind the hood. Like, let's figure out what's going on in your brain, what you're thinking about, how that affects your behavior, your environment, all that stuff. It's not just about don't eat this, eat that. So it's more holistic.
So, one of those famous rules I'm sure we all hear and continue to hear is breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Make sure you start your day with a good, healthy breakfast.
Yep.
So with intuitive eating, would that throw that rule away in that sense?
Yeah, so there are kind of nutrition, I wouldn't say rules, but generally most people need to eat every 4-ish hours. But again, it totally depends on how active you are that day, how much you're hydrated, how much sleep you've had, your hormones. And so what's great about intuitive eating is it really is about understanding what your body needs are, because we're all unique in that stuff, not only in our genetics, but also in our environment and our lifestyles. Whereas dieting puts you in a box. It's very generic. Eat this many calories every single day. And some days you're going to be overeating those calories because you're going to be sedentary. Some days you're going to be undereating because you're going to be very active. And so it doesn't give you that wiggle room or that leeway to understand what's going on with your lifestyle, which is the difference, which is great about intuitive eating, is it really is about you and you take back that control. So in terms of your, have breakfast, it's the most important meal. Generally speaking, you haven't eaten for a very long period of time during your sleep, so most people need to eat in the morning. Now, whether that's 7 a.m., or 10 a.m., it doesn't really matter. Like, that's up to you and understanding when your body's going, hello, feed me, we're getting a rumbling stomach, we're feeling a little shaky. All these little pinpoint signs that our body gives us, that's when you should eat. Your body doesn't understand time, and we put all these rules and regulations, on it, and it doesn't get that. So what we need to do is like, okay, what are those physical signs that our body's giving us to say, hey, go feed me?
I love when you said that our body doesn't understand time, because time and time again, I've heard from people who say, I don't eat after 6 p.m. or after 9 p.m. Absolutely not. Or it's no breads after 6 p.m. or whatever time it might be in the day. And for me, I was always confused, like, okay, what does it really matter when you eat, as long as those calories are coming in and you're hopefully not eating 3,000 calories a day. You're staying in a somewhat moderate range for your height and whatever your health goals might be. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting that you said that our body doesn't know time, because I'd like to agree with that. But for me, for example, I've been told when I decided I was going to get a fitness coach and I was going to have a meal plan and a workout plan. And the meal plan was the hardest transition for me by far. And it was, I think, 6 little meals a day. And I was freaking out because I was used to maybe 3 meals a day or 2 fairly large meals a day. And I thought that will be it. And it was explained to me then, well, you're going to be working out a lot more, so your body's going to be going through a lot more activity. And you're going to need to fuel it properly and replenish, with a lot more protein. Mm-hmm. And so I began to understand that, and despite having 6 meals a day, it was, as you'd mentioned, maybe every few hours, and it was much smaller meals or much smaller food items that I could incorporate. Mm-hmm. But it was after the workout that it was emphasized to me to definitely eat after the workout. But I still find now, because I like to work out quite late at night, so it'll be like 11 o'clock I'm getting home from the gym. And I know most people are like, that's terrible. You can't be working out that late, because I'm up till at least midnight or so. But I have no problem just dropping right to sleep. But I don't always feel I need to eat after that. So in listening to my body saying, okay, well, you're not hungry, we're not craving any foods right now, do you think I'm taking the wrong turn there? Or should it be, no, definitely replenish after exercising so much and burning so much energy? You should be able to replenish a little bit before you do go into a restful sleep.
Depends how much you're eating in the daytime, right? And again, it depends on what your body's saying to you. So if you're eating enough during the day so that you're fueled for that exercise, and if it's 11 p.m. you're going to sleep at 12, sometimes that meal, that snack can kind of keep you up, give you that extra boost of energy when your body is going into sleep mode, so It doesn't need as much energy. So yes, it's important to replenish, after an exercise. But if it's really late, and this is where, we tweak our lifestyles. Like if you're exercising late and then going to sleep, you probably don't eat that snack. But then probably your body is going to wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I'm hungry. So if you're then skipping breakfast, then you're probably leaving it too long. And the reason I say every 4 hours or so, that's most people. But again, you've got to listen to your body and understand what it's saying to you. But the reason is 4 hours is because that's generally people do. And if you leave it too long, you get into this hangry mode, or this panic mode. And that's when we overeat. And that's your body's panicking. It's going, I need to eat something now, so I'm going to overeat. And I'm generally going to eat sugary type things because I get that energy boost really quickly. But what it does is it pushes your blood sugar levels up and your insulin gets released. And that's like a taxi, and it drives your blood sugars down. So you have these blood sugar crashes. And that's when we tend to overeat, and we eat those high sugar snacks.
Like the M&M cookies
that
I am obsessed with. I need anybody listening to buy all of the cookies today, please. I'm going to the grocery store tonight. I do not want to see them. They're so delicious. We're just going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will come back, and we'll be speaking more about intuitive eating with Taryn Stein.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Urban Adolphus Tibbetts Certificate of Honor, 1914 to 1991. Urban Tibbetts was the 12th and last child of William and Henrietta Tibbetts of Kimmenbrack. As a young man, he went to sea for a few years. When he returned home, he served as a police officer for 3 years and then returned to sea. After retiring from sea for the second time, he joined the Public Works Department and within a few years became supervisor. During his years as works supervisor, he supervised the construction of Kimmenbrack Airport, the road to the lighthouse on the bluff, and the road on the south side of the Brack. He did not just supervise the work, but worked along with the men on the job. Urban raised cattle, and when he butchered at Christmas time, he often gave away beef to families who could not pay for it. He was always willing to help those in need. In the early 1950s, he donated the land for Fellowship Baptist Church, and once it was built, he joined the church and became a deacon. Urban was married to Vida McLaughlin, and the couple had 7 children.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a non-for-profit member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. Chamber Pension has an all-in expense ratio of 0.72% over 16,000 members, $430 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s. And today, we are still strong, secure, and are here for employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or request further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
Do you have plans to travel to the UK? You must provide a letter of certification from Public Health and your vaccination certificate issued in the Cayman Islands. If traveling to the UK via the Bahamas, the United States, Canada, Jamaica, or any other Amber List country. If you are traveling directly to the UK from Cayman, no letter of certification is necessary. Letters of certification may be requested by emailing vaccinecertification@hsa.ky. Travelers must attach a copy of their vaccination certification card as a screenshot attached to their email request. All requests will take 3 business days to process, and letters will only be issued within 3 weeks of a person's date of travel. Letters of certification are only needed if traveling to the UK via any Amber List country. Travelers to the UK coming directly from the Cayman Islands do not require a letter of certification.
Spend quality time with your child to show you care about their health, wellness, and success. Celebrate their achievements, forgive their mistakes, listen to them when they have a problem, and show interest in how they plan to solve it. Young people are more likely to listen when their parents are engaged. They know you're on their side. Talk with your child early about making health-conscious decisions for life. For tips, log on to www.ndc.ky. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
Listen to the general public. Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And this afternoon on Talk Today, I'm welcoming Taryn Stein from Mind Shift Me. She is a dietitian and a life coach, and she's about changing your habits, helping you change your relationship with food, how we're looking at it. Hopefully getting me to the bottom of my cookie craving, my M&M cookie craving. And thank you, Taryn. You were discussing with me about the intuitive eating, what it is exactly. And in the break, I'd mentioned that I'd seen some studies about intuitive eating, and they're mostly based on women. Mm-hmm. So the stats that they're bringing up are mostly based on women. Any idea of why men aren't as widely included in these studies?
Yeah, I mean, intuitive eating is for everybody, regardless of your gender or if you have a chronic disease. And that's the beauty of it, is that it is flexible enough to be for everybody. The reason that most of the studies have been around women is predominantly women are the ones who have eating disorders or, have a poor relationship with food, are on a diet, have poor body image. That's predominantly driven by social media and, the diet industry. So because it's a bigger group of people, that's been the easier group to research. So there's been about over 200 research papers on intuitive eating, and it's not enough yet. There's still a long way to go in getting a lot more data, but initial research is very promising. It's very it's shown to lower not only your BMI, your body mass index, but people have a better relationship with food, so they can make healthier choices. It's more sustainable. It has long-term results, but also it's shown to lower biomarkers. So if you have chronic disease like diabetes, heart disease, it's shown to help lower your blood pressure, glucose, cholesterol. So these are all really promising studies. They should open it up to more men, but I guess because the bigger pool of people with these kind of issues tend to be women, that's why they're focused on women.
And you had mentioned when we first started speaking about intuitive eating, that it worked for you because you used to be the diet guilt kind of person, and then you went into intuitive eating. So what was it about intuitive eating that just you saw that change?
Yeah, for me, I did a lot of the research, and then I kind of got to a point feeling really low about myself. I was training. I felt like a bit of a fraud. I was teaching everybody else too. I was a diabetes specialist, dietitian, and teaching other people, eat this, don't eat that, blah blah blah. And I couldn't even get a handle on my own eating. And so eventually, I kind of took a break, went traveling, and started to do a lot of this research. And while I was traveling, I kind of took the focus off food. So I was experiencing different foods, meeting different people. And during this whole period, everything just kind of calmed down for me. Plus, all these principles of intuitive eating were starting to kind of settle in my brain. And that was the big shift for me, is all the mind drama, all these food obsessions that we have when we're dieting. Like, I must eat that, I can't eat that, I'm so bad for that. And this, constant guilt and body bashing and this little critic that sits on your shoulder. And a lot of that just subsided. And this noise, if you like, just kind of went away. And what was weird is then I was starting to make food choices because of taste, and food choices because of what it felt like in my body. And invariably, I started to choose healthier choices, which sounds crazy to people who are dieting. Like, if you leave your body to just do its thing, it's a very smart piece of machinery, it will want to eat the healthier foods anyway. So I always use the analogy of, you know, when you go on holiday, so before you go on holiday or vacation, you go on a diet and you try and lose all the weight because you've got to be in a bikini.
Yes.
And then you go on vacation and it's like, well, hey, free for all. I'm going to, drink all the margaritas, eat all the nachos. And then you come back and you're like, oh, I've put on so many pounds. I'm going to go back on a diet.
You feel terrible. You almost exhausted and just icky.
Icky,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so you come home and what does your body say? Oh, I just want a home-cooked meal. I just want some fresh veggies because I've been eating takeout and takeout and takeout. And that's your body's natural way of going, please give me something nutritious to eat because I want to run more optimally. I want to feel better. I don't want to be lethargic and bloated all the time. So when it's left to its own devices and you don't restrict it or have all these rules and these hoops to jump through, it will navigate to healthier foods anyway because it makes your body run better and feel better. And that's kind of where the principles lie. And it's hard, though, for people who've been dieting for a long time to trust that. And it is.
Right.
It's about trust. I always say it's like breaking out of your prison of diet prison.
But if the diet hasn't been working for many years and you're just really strict on staying with a diet or on a very certain food program, then I think that's enough of a signal to tell you that you should try something new.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine traveling and going to Italy and not being able to eat the pasta.
Exactly.
That's insane to me. Or Mexico and street tacos is something like that. I couldn't imagine not being able to do that. Coming to the Caribbean and having, whether it's oxtail, whether it's rundown, whether it's the Cayman style beef, not being able to indulge in that and really taste the food from different cultures because you were so paranoid about sticking to a diet.
Yeah.
And as you said, the self-worth and your image and how you look, and it really does bring you down so much.
It does. It kind of dulls your life, doesn't it? You don't do half the things because you're so obsessed about not getting out of control about your eating and not trusting your body in these situations, whether it's at a party, on a vacation, and it spills into other areas of your life. And I always used to say that was me. I was like, I'll only do that once I weigh a certain amount or once, I've lost that. And it just got so crazy. You just get stuck, and all because of what you look like and what you weigh. And, this is predominantly because of the diet industry, which tells us you have to look a certain way to be successful or to be loved or to achieve things. That's absolute rubbish, but that was the beauty about intuitive eating is I kind of got to that low point of going, enough. Like, I have to find an alternative. And, as the more I did it, the more it clicked. And it takes time. I always say intuitive eating is harder in the beginning because it's not like the set rules and regulations, but it's got the flexibility that you learn over time and you can incorporate into your life much more easily. So it gets easier and easier as you go, whereas dieting is easy in the beginning and then it gets harder and harder, and that's why people fall off. And I always say, like, dieting, it's 95% of people fall off a diet. And we blame ourselves. This is incredible diet industry marketing, right? We always blame ourselves. We're lazy. We don't have any willpower. But if you equate it to, like, another type of product, say you're surfing on Amazon looking at the reviews and, or the ad said it's 5% success rate, or the reviews are, it broke after a couple of months. You would never buy it.
Right. That's a great point.
Yeah. And so, but we forget that in the diet industry, it's not us, it's the method.
Right.
That doesn't work. So we need a new method.
Intuitive eating might be that method.
Yeah.
And it worked for you.
Absolutely. You worked for me, yeah.
Excellent. So there's principles behind intuitive eating.
There are. There's 10.
Okay, the 10. Can you tell us what these principles are?
Yeah, I'll just talk about them
no problem.
I won't go through them in detail because we don't have enough time. But
I'll probably interrupt you, so.
No, that's fine. So basically it starts, and there are in a sort of an order, and they are guidelines. They're not like strict rules that we kind of, have to abide by. But the first principle is really about the diet mentality, getting rid of our diet beliefs, our diet tools that we use, like counting calories, weighing ourselves every day. I can't eat carbs are bad for me. All these rules that we kind of build up over the years of dieting, and they stick around in our head and they influence how we eat. So we start to kind of challenge a lot of that stuff and get rid of that diet mentality. like I say, you're always that's the key to breaking out of our diet prison. And that is really the first principle, because we can't move forward until we've kind of let go of that dieting and going, okay, it's not for me. I need to trust my body instead. Then we move into tuning into our body. And that means like understanding when your body's hungry and when you're full. And so we use like a scale of 1 to 10 to go, okay, this is when I'm ravenous and I'm panic eating and I'm hangry. This is when I'm comfortably hungry. My stomach's rumbling. I get a few signs. Maybe if I leave it too long, I get a bit of a headache or I lose concentration. Then when I'm eating, when I feel comfortably full. Now, this can take some time to kind of pinpoint because everyone's slightly different. But the more, and this is where mindful eating really, really helps you. You're zoned in on your meal. You're starting to listen to your body. And then we move into, okay, I'm comfortably full. This is ideally when we want to stop eating.
What would be a signal that we're comfortably full? And I ask because sometimes my signal would be your stomach is very hard or your button just popped. I think you've ate enough.
Yeah. So
my button doesn't pop on a regular basis. I'm making a little joke there. But what would be some signals to us being comfortably full?
And this is why it's important to, when you're eating, is to check in like in the beginning of your meal, in the middle of your meal, and at the end of your meal to start to see, or nearing the end of your meal, to see how hungry or full you are. So things like, you can feel your stomach's a little bit bigger, right? It's distended a little bit, but it's not painful. It's not sore. It's not like, oh, I have to unbutton my pants, like brunch. And so it feels comfortable, and the food probably doesn't taste as nice anymore as it did in the first few bites. Your brain is starting to go, I'm not so interested in anymore. And this is all these hormones, these appetite hormones in your body going, yeah, you can stop eating. It's called leptin. So it makes you disinterested in food more than, and not as tasty as it did in the beginning. So, and you feel satisfied, you feel comfortable, you're not still peckish or hungry, and you're not, feeling, I feel ill because, or uncomfortable, or, and that's, when we get too uncomfortable in our eating, it impacts on our sleep. It makes us really sluggish, so we don't want to end up in that kind of phase.
I want to go off that note when we can get really sluggish. So there's that term in the Caribbean, dropsy. After you've eaten and your lunch, perhaps right around this time, you might have had a pretty full meal for lunch, and then you get dropsy. You just get a little tired. It's around the end of your workday. So that comes from not listening necessarily to your body, or
depends what you're eating,
depends
what you're eating, depends what time of day it is. So there's lots of different elements to it. So if you're eating, carbohydrate type food, that should give you a boost of energy. Whereas protein and fats keep you going for longer. Protein can make you feel a little bit more sleepy. Because of a hormone, particularly like in chicken, called tryptophan, and that makes you sleepier. So those are good foods to have later at night when you're going to bed, right? Because it kind of adds to that tryptophan level, which is going to make you more tired, more relaxed.
I didn't realize that. We have to go to a break now, but we're going to pick up on that note when we come back from this commercial break here.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Summer, the season for backyard gatherings, beach parties, office socials, and camps for kids. Make the most of your summer party and leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters or double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway Box to Go, with the option of a 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. Cater your summer with Subway. Visit Subway.ky for menu options. Subway. Eat fresh.
For the first time in over 45 years, the University College of the Cayman Islands is having an alumni homecoming gala dinner on October 28th. The event highlights the kickoff of the UCCI Alumni Network, a community of professionals helping the university and one another. If you're a UCCI graduate, join the network today and let your fellow classmates know about it. Visit ucci.edu.ky/alumni and come give us a hand with UCCI's first ever homecoming. We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
The Cayman AIDS Foundation would like you to join them in bringing their HIV numbers here in the Cayman Islands to ground zero. Knowing your HIV status could save your life. Call the HSA today and book an appointment to be tested. Visit their website on www.caf.ky or call them on 946-3029 for more information. This message was brought to you by the Cayman AIDS Foundation.
What do you do if you have to go to a shelter? To help you safely prepare, evacuate, and shelter while protecting yourself and others from COVID-19 this hurricane season, here's some tips from the Public Health Department. If you must go to a shelter, be ready to protect yourself and others. Practice social distancing of at least 6 feet from others. Follow public health's preventative actions. Wash your hands with soap and water, often if possible, or use hand sanitizer, cover coughs and sneezes, and wear mask or cloth face coverings. Get your COVID-19 vaccine when eligible. Avoid sharing food and drink with anyone. For more guidance to update your emergency hurricane plans due to coronavirus, visit www.caymanprepared.gov.ky. This message is brought to you by the Public Health Department in partnership with the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Listen to the general public. Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks this afternoon, and in studio with me is Taryn Stein from Mind Shift Me. She's a dietitian and helping us understand our relationship and at least my relationship with food a little bit better. And we're talking about intuitive eating right now. And right before the break, Taryn was sharing with us what the principles of intuitive eating are. And I believe we discussed a couple of them so far.
Yeah.
So if you want to pick back up on where we are with that.
So I think we got to tuning into your hunger and fullness sort of signals that your body gives you. And then after that, you kind of move into what we call making peace with food.
Okay, wait.
Yes.
Before you go there.
Yes.
So let's go back to the signals before we go to making peace with food.
Mm-hmm.
So something that I have been taught in the whole getting back on my fitness game here is one of the reasons why maybe working or just eating 3 meals a day wasn't quite working for me, is because the extended periods of time without food, perhaps my body thought I was starving itself, and hanging on to that food and converting it to fat and just hanging on to that fat in survival mode, basically.
Yeah.
So I guess, can that signal also be tricky in that sense? Can that body signal trick you into saying that, you know, you're hungry, but you're not really hungry because it's hanging on to body fat? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, your body will, if you're on a diet mode, what it does is it basically freaks your body out. So your body thinks you're in a famine because you're reducing its calories. And I'm talking about when you extreme diets. So
right.
You're detoxing or you're reducing your calories massively. So what it does is your brain and your body freak out and they go, oh my gosh, we're in a famine. Let's try and conserve as much energy. Again, like I said, your body's super smart. So it goes, okay, we're going to conserve as much energy because we're not getting enough calories from out there. So let's hang on to every piece of food, and everything that doesn't get burnt up immediately, we'll store it as fat.
Oh, that's
right?
my problem.
And it also slows your metabolism down. It's like, okay, let's slow everything down and conserve everything. So, and along with also all the obsessions that we have with food, because once we tell ourselves we can't have something, that's exactly what we want, and we obsess about it, and food becomes our frenemy. We love it, we hate it, we obsess about it. Mm-hmm. So all of these factors mean that when you fall off the diet, you will put the weight back on. You've lowered your metabolism, you've slowed it down, you've made yourself more obsessive, which means you're more likely to binge on foods when you have them available. And so all these factors mean that your weight creeps up when you fall, invariably, remember 95% of people fall off a diet, invariably fall off this diet. Back to your question is, can you get tricked by that? Yeah, in the beginning, when you're coming out of your diet mode, if you like, your diet prison, your body can have a freak out and go, oh, I'm free for all, right? It's like, hey, I can go crazy now because I'm out of my diet, which is what happens when we come out of dieting mode and into that binge mode, and we swing into that side of the pendulum. But when you start to allow yourself to go, actually, you know what, I can eat that anytime, any day, anyway, your body goes, oh, okay, I can have it tomorrow. I can have the M&M cookie for breakfast if I want, right? It's maybe not going to make me feel good, but I can choose to have it if I want to. And then your body calms down enough to go, actually, you know what? I don't want the M&M cookie for breakfast because I know it doesn't make me feel great. I'm going to choose, slice of toast with or your eggs and spinach, right?
Oddly, my body would like something healthy that's going to fuel me in the morning for breakfast. Sometimes it's waffles and pancakes, yes, but most of the time it's egg whites and a little bit of fruit or yogurt and granola and some blueberries.
That's
so
perfect.
It's my breakfast is amazing. It's just later on in the day where I feel I want a cookie now or, I want that sugar.
Yeah. And that could be for a number of reasons. Either you perhaps need something earlier in the day, like a snack to tide you over. So maybe it's because you're over hungry and you're like, I just need a sugar hit now because that's a quick, easy way to get some energy. So maybe you need a snack earlier. Maybe it's because the cookie is the forbidden food for you. Like that's your... oh, I'm naughty if I have that. We have all this moral judgment around food when we're in dieting mode. And you see it and you hear it all the time. I'm clean eating, innocent food. This is my guilty pleasure. Right? Yeah. We talk about food in moral terms all the time. And when we neutralize that and see it as just fuel or energy, so I say it's like putting gas in your car at the gas station. When you go there, you can choose a premium gas or you can choose a C-grade gas. Now, regardless of what you choose, you don't leave the gas station feeling really proud of yourself or really shame and guilty because you put C-grade in, right? It's just, nobody takes it that seriously. It's just fuel for your car. Yeah, the A grade or the premium is going to make your car's engine run a little bit better, probably a little bit smoother, a little bit further. And food is exactly the same. An apple and a cookie, one is more nutritious, it's got more fiber, more vitamins, more minerals in it, make you feel better than, say, the cookie that's got more sugar, maybe make you feel bloated, lethargic, but it's still an energy source. It's not good or bad. And so taking all this terminology away and neutralizing food is really, that's what we call about making peace with food. It's like all food is available to choose from. And when we calm our bodies down and we tune in, that's when you'll start to see those real hunger signals. But not only that, you'll also start to figure out your emotional hunger. So it's not only about tapping into how does my body feel physically? Is it rumbling? Is it Is it full? But also emotionally, am I calm? Am I relaxed? Am I stressed? Am I upset? Am I bored? Because we often eat for those kind of emotional reasons. So it's about tuning into both.
Absolutely. Stress eating.
Stress eating. And during the pandemic and lockdown, we saw that massive rise of stress eating. People were at home, everyone's stressed, the fridge is right there. So in my business, I saw a lot of people come through with stress eating because we learn it, again, from a very young age. We fall down, we get a lollipop. We do well in our exams, we get an ice cream sundae.
We're rewarded.
We're rewarded or soothed by food all the time when we grow up. And so we associate that. And, with intuitive eating, you can't solve for that until you can pinpoint that. So while you're tuning in to, is this real hunger? Is this emotional hunger? Only
is this
then,
my reward?
Yeah, is this my reward? So I went to the gym. I'm going to have a cookie now. I'm going to have a smoothie. I've been
so-called
good.
Eat clean for a full week, and
now I'm going to have a cheat day.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
So all of these are diet terms that we kind of put these parameters on our eating, and we kind of trying to neutralize all of that and going, there's no such thing as a cheat day, right? Again, your body doesn't understand Monday to Sunday.
Right.
So we try and neutralize all of that stuff and take away that guilt and that shame and that moral tug of war away and start to tune in. And only when you can start to pinpoint when you're physically hungry or when you're emotionally eating can you then solve for those problems. Oh, I keep having a crash at 3 p.m. and I go for the cookie. Well, maybe you need to eat a bigger meal at lunchtime. Maybe you're not getting enough calories then. Or I keep eating the cookie at 3 p.m. I snack at night because I'm bored. I'm sitting on the couch, I'm alone, or, I had an argument with somebody. Okay, well, how do we solve for that without food? And there are lots of coping strategies that we can then work on. But until you can pinpoint what's going on, you can't solve for any of those problems. So this is what intuitive eating is really about. It's like becoming aware of your habits and your behaviors around food.
So how do we get to pinpointing what might be wrong?
So again, if you can start to go, okay, am I physically hungry? No. Did something just happen? Yeah, I've got a meeting that I've got to present in and I'm really stressed out about it, and that's why I ate the box of cookies. Okay. Well, how do we deal with that stress before your meeting? Or I had an argument with somebody and that's why I'm eating. I'm upset or I'm bored. Okay, well, let's find a hobby for you to do. Let's fill that void that you're filling with food, because food it's not your therapist, right? It's not going to solve those emotional stresses. So we need to find other coping mechanisms. Maybe it's a walk around the block to clear your head and alleviate that stress. Maybe it's finding some boundaries and me time to say, no, I can't do that. I'm going to stop work at 6 p.m. I'm not going to work till midnight because I'm burning myself out. Maybe I'm not getting enough sleep. And when we don't have enough sleep, we eat junk food to prop ourselves up the next day, right?
Right.
That's when our eating goes out of whack. So there's lots of reasons and there's lots of ways to cope with it. And I call it our coping toolkit because there's lots of tools in that toolkit depending on what the stressor is. But it doesn't have to include food because food's not actually going to solve those problems, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, despite, I guess, so many years of thinking of, stress eating or emotional eating, and we think that, okay, we're solving whatever just by eating it because it's making us feel good in that moment.
Yes.
And
chemically it does. Sorry to interrupt you, but
okay.
Chemically it does. There's it releases it stimulates a chemical in your brain called dopamine, which is our feel-good chemical. And so when you eat a sugary type food, it does make you feel better. So if you're stressed or upset, yeah, it does give you that moment, but it's only one moment and it doesn't solve for the problem long term. And then when we overeat on those junky type foods, it just adds to our stress because then we feel guilt and shame and all that drama attached to it. So we really need to solve for those stresses, rather than just getting that quick fix of dopamine.
Right. I agree with you. I need to, that's for sure. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in a few moments with Taryn Stein.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
When I was growing up in Cayman, Sundays was always a big day for our family. Everyone would go to Granny's house for Sunday dinner after church. Even today, I can still smell the aroma of all the delicious food we used to eat, especially the hot, fresh baked bread smothered in butter, topped off with our favorite pan cheese. These days, I don't have enough time to cook and bake, but I do my best to carry on the Sunday tradition of family meals, and being able to get hot, fresh bread with no preservatives or additives from Caribbean Bakery is a big help for me. Shh, don't tell them, they still think I baked it. Caribbean Bakery, now delivering every Sunday to McGrath's grocery store in Eastern Avenue and Marina Drive. Caribbean Bakery, made Cayman fresh.
The 8:10 a.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com. Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
We are in the hurricane season, and knowing what to do after a hurricane can be as important as preparing for the storm. After the passage of a hurricane, seek medical attention if it is needed at hospitals and clinics for those persons who are injured. Do not touch power lines and cables that are down. They may be active. Report them to 911 or the utilities emergency hotlines. Broken tree limbs should be removed from around homes or buildings if possible. This hurricane information has been brought to you by Breeze FM and Radio Cayman.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Banks. This afternoon I have with me in studio Taryn Stein from Mind Shift Me. We are talking about intuitive eating, and before our break I believe we had just touched on a bit of a difference, or what happens when we're doing stress eating and emotional eating and all the rest, and we were discussing the principles of intuitive eating. Mm-hmm. So I think one of the last points about one of the principles that you had mentioned that I can remember is to make peace with your food.
Yep.
Right? Not act like food is your frenemy.
Yes.
Right? So what would be the next principles that we would have to consider?
So we've already touched on the emotional side of eating as well. Yes. But the next one would be about challenging your what they call food police. Right, that's one of the principles. And your food police is your inner critic that tells you whether you're being good or bad. And again, it comes back to that moral judgment. And that goes hand in hand with making peace with food. That's like, food is neutral, but also we're not going to chip away at what we're eating and tell ourselves we're terrible people because we fell off our diet and and we ate the cookie and we're so bad. It is about challenging not only our diet beliefs of like the carbs are bad for us,
right?
But also less of that body bashing. Really starting to challenge that and get into some of the body image stuff that often comes with dieting. So it is about, when I work with my clients, it's about going beneath the surface of, I've got a tummy roll and, arm wings and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, that's not the stuff people are going to remember about you. Okay, yeah. And it is, people are going to remember your personality and what you did and how kind you were. And so we want to get rid of all that drama that holds us back and holds us in our prison and doesn't allow us to do stuff. And so we work a lot on that stuff and kind of getting to a point. And it's not to say that you're going to wake up every morning and go, I'm amazing, I look lovely, blah, blah, blah. We're still going to have our hang-ups, but it is about respecting your body. So a lot of that stuff, does come up there with learning to appreciate and respect your body and its boundaries as well. Like if you love to run, but you have bad knees, respecting your body, you're going, maybe I should do swimming,
Perfect substitute for running.
Yeah, and it is about understanding, if you like we say, all food is free and available, but if I have a nut allergy, it's being disrespectful to my body to, put myself at harm. So it's partly about body image and partly about understanding your body. And for me, it's always about, we're stuck with our bodies for the rest of our lives. We might as well get along. And often what we do when we're trying to get healthy, it's a chore. It's hard. We fight against our bodies the whole time. And we want to flip that around and go, actually, let's work with our bodies. This is where we are. Maybe we want to get to, point B, but let's be kind and gentle with it and give it a few taps on the back to, boost ourselves along the way.
It's about learning to love yourself.
It is.
It's part of that self-love journey, and it's understandable where somebody might want to lose 20 pounds or 50 pounds or whatever it might be, however much weight they want to lose in their mind. But that inner critic, beating yourself up, and it's not just in dieting and in food, it's in so many aspects of our life. And if we can really look at that and say, okay, I need to stop being so hard on myself and being so critical, because you weren't born, you didn't come into this world criticizing yourself. So you have learned that along the way. And that could be from your parents. It could be siblings. It could be teachers. It could be listening to certain people on social media, watching certain programming, just being kind of brainwashed by something else saying you're not good enough and you need to fit to this form and this figure and this particular look, and then you're worthy.
Yes.
And that inner critic can be the worst thing possible. So it really is learning to talk to yourself and use great words of affirmation. I am worthy. I look great. I eat healthy. Yeah. My body feels good. Yeah. Whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
So
I always say use your best friend voice. So when you say something bad about yourself, think about how your best friend would respond, or how you would respond to your best friend, and talk to yourself like that, which sounds really cheesy, but
no, it's great
it works.
Advice.
And it's the same with gratitude. I mean, I make a lot of my clients do this gratitude thing where every morning or every evening before you go to bed, you say one thing that you appreciate about your day, one thing that you're grateful for in your life, and one thing that you're grateful for in yourself or your body. And that's often the hardest one for them to kind of come up with. But again, it's just that reaffirmation of, you know what, I'm good enough, because it's all about consistency, not perfection. We're human beings, we are never going to be perfect. And this, again, is why dieting doesn't work. It's all or nothing. I'm on a diet and I'm following the rules and I'm being really good and perfect, or I'm off the diet and it's all free-for-all. Like, instead of, just going, I had one bad meal, if I fall off the diet, it's go big or go home, right? We binge.
Right.
Whereas when we play the rule, your health is not dependent on one meal or one snack. It doesn't determine your entire health. It's about small, consistent habits. So if one meal you overeat, you go, okay, let's learn from that. How did that feel? I didn't feel great. Like if I ate sugary foods and I got a headache from it, okay, well, we learn from that. If I got hangry, okay, maybe I need to take a snack with me when I'm running around and I have busy days. We learn from that. And so this is the more gentle approach, rather than going, oh, you're so bad, you fell off, you're not perfect. You're never going to be perfect. And this constant gap between being perfect and being human, it can wear you down if you're constantly trying to achieve something that you're never going to be able to sustain. And we're all about sustainability. That's about building up those healthy habits for the long term.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why diets don't work, because it's for the
Short-term.
immediate.
Yes.
And intuitive eating is more, from how you describe it, to me, it's more of a lifestyle change.
Absolutely.
You're changing a lot more than just exactly what you're eating and when you're eating and how many calories and what you're allowed to eat. It's allowing yourself to eat what you like, when you want, listening to your body, doing what feels good for you.
Yeah.
Just listening to those signals that you were talking about.
Yeah. And you touched on one of the next points is about satisfaction and enjoying your eating experience. So part of that is using the principles of mindful eating and zoning into your meal, and how does it taste? What's the texture? What's the smell? We don't do that enough. We're what I call food zombies, where we just eat mindlessly, like doing multitasking, doing other things, and your brain can't focus on two things at once. And so what happens is we don't recognize or realize what we've eaten. And there's been studies that show that if you sit down and you focus on your meal and you eat something that you really want to eat and you get satisfied, you tend to eat less during the day. And that's because let's just take the cookie, for example. I sit down, I plate the cookie out, I see it visually, I eat it slowly, I chew it, I savor it, I really enjoy it, it melts in my mouth. I'm going to eat one cookie, feel satisfied, I'm done. I don't have to obsess about it. Whereas if I ignore that craving for that cookie, or I eat it really fast, but let's just say I ignore it, and it builds up and builds up and builds up, and then I eat 5 cookies, and I eat them really fast, and I eat them really secret, and I do. And I don't enjoy it, and then I feel guilty afterwards. And so when we eat in a mindful, calm, focused way, and we eat foods that we really enjoy that are satisfying, we eat less overall anyway. So it helps maintain our weight, which seems crazy, but the more you can eat foods that you really enjoy and know what those foods are, the healthier you're going to be in the long term.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so it's being satisfactory about what you're eating, that was one of the principles.
Yeah, okay. So it's about discovering that satisfaction. What foods do you really enjoy? And when you're eating something, I always say eat off a slightly smaller plate, because all our plates are so big. Plates, everything out, sit down, eat it slowly. And then if you're still hungry at the end of your meal, by all means, go and have a second helping. But the smaller plate helps you stop, take a break, think, am I still hungry? When we eat off a large plate, we tend to overeat. We clean our plate,
That's
right?
true. Yes, that's true.
So it gives you that moment to stop, think, and then, halfway through your meal, if you're like, actually, you know what? I thought I wanted this, but this is just not floating my boat. I'm just not interested in this. Put it away.
Right. We're so used
find
to
something else.
What I call the American portions, or it might be here in the Caribbean, a lot of rice and beans, and it's not necessarily but we're so used to being served that when we build our own plate, that we think we must completely fill that plate up, and it's not necessarily needed. We have to go to a 2 p.m. news headlines right now, and then a commercial break, but we will be back with Taryn Stein from Mind Shift Me.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
There's the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The update from the National Weather Service shows Tropical Depression Grace is forecast to strengthen to a tropical storm by tomorrow, Tuesday afternoon. As a result, the Cayman Islands government has issued a tropical storm warning for the Cayman Islands effective 10 a.m. today, August 16th. In international news, there have been scenes of panic at Kabul airport as desperate residents try to flee following the seizure of the Afghan capital by the Taliban. 2 armed men were killed by U.S. soldiers, while 3 people are reported to have died after falling from the underside of a plane they were clinging onto shortly after takeoff. With scheduled flights suspended, many foreigners and Afghans are stranded. The U.S. and other countries are rushing to evacuate staff and allies. The Islamic Police Force in Kano, a Muslim-majority state in Nigeria, orders shops to use only headless mannequins to advertise clothing. They also want the headless mannequins covered at all times because, quote, to show the shape of the breast, the shape of the bottom is contrary to the teachings of Sharia Islamic law. Spectators will not be allowed at the Tokyo Paralympic Games because of the city's ongoing struggle with coronavirus, organizers have confirmed. The Japanese government has proposed expanding and extending the country's state of emergency with the Paralympics beginning on August 24th. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Do you know what is and what is not covered under your insurance policy? Make sure home and property insurance is up to date. Take pictures of your house inside and out and of furniture and equipment. Store the photographs in a safe place. They could be useful down the road if you need to make an insurance claim. For more tips and information, visit the Hazard Management Cayman Islands office or caymanprepared.ky. This hurricane tip is brought to you by Hazard Management Cayman Islands and Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller and I'm in studio with Taryn Stein from Mind Shift Me. We are talking about intuitive eating, improving our relationship with food. I'm sure we all love food and we all love to eat, I hope, and some of us who don't necessarily have the best relationship with food, if you're listening, I hope that you can learn how to be able to shift your mind per se to some of the things that are being discussed in this conversation right now about intuitive eating. We do welcome calls at 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp us at 925-3261. And back to our principles, Taryn.
Yeah, so I think we're getting into the last few. So as we go further down, now we start to get into exercise and nutrition. So again, I'm going to talk about the diet industry. I always see it as an iceberg where dieting sits at the surface, where it's just like these rules and don't eat the donuts, do eat this food, blah, blah, blah. Whereas intuitive eating sits underneath the water, the bigger piece where it's working on your behaviors and your thinking patterns first before you get into the nutrition and the exercise side of things, because that's the only way to get into the roots, if you like, and pull the weeds out by the roots. That's the stuff that needs to happen first. So that's why these 10 principles are in order, and you'll see as we've been speaking, it's all about the tuning in, the diet thinking, all that kind of stuff, getting rid of that before we even start to talk about exercise and nutrition. But when it comes to exercise, again, consistency is better than perfection. And how we get consistent, often what we do is we start in January, all gung-ho, get the trainers, get the gym membership, and then by February, March, it's collecting dust, we're sitting on the couch, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And so the reason that we keep falling off is we set these too high standards for ourselves or goals for ourselves. We're going to go to the gym 5 times a week, and, we're going to work out, and we're going to work really, really hard, and blah, blah, blah. And what happens is it's just not sustainable, so it doesn't fit into our life. So when life actually happens, that's when we fall off, or it gets too hard, or we dread going because we come out and we want to puke because it was too hard. And so we're naturally born to seek out pleasure and avoid pain. So if things become too hard,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, why would I want to experience pain on purpose?
Exactly. And that's your brain is wired that way. Mm-hmm. So what we want to do is we want to shift the focus of exercise. Instead of I'm going there to burn calories, I'm going to go and have fun. And if you see it in kids all the time, kids are active, but they're not, I'm going to the gym to, lift weights to get that do crunches to get that 6-pack.
Right.
They're running around and they're having fun. It's play. And so what we need to do as adults is start to think in the same way of what do I enjoy? And that comes down to your personality as well. Like, do I like a team sport? Am I sociable and I like that team camaraderie? Or no, I actually enjoy exercise to zone out and it's my me time. So maybe then running or swimming is more your sport versus a team sport. Maybe you're creative and you're like, I like a dance class. That's, I can, express myself. And so your personality plays a part in deciding what kinds of sports you actually enjoy. Then comes in that respecting your body again in terms of, well, I like that sport, but I have a dodgy knee, and I need to be within the realms of what is possible for me. But the key here is choosing. We want to enjoy our eating experience. We want to enjoy our exercise, because that's what's going to make us get off the couch and go and exercise consistently. And again, when it comes to your health, it's not these short little bursts that count where I'm working really hard for a month. It's consistency over a longer period of time. And again, we start small. If you want to become a runner, you start small. You go for a walk around the block.
Right.
You put on your trainers.
Mm-hmm.
Then we work up to slowly a walk run. Then then we get to a 5K. We're not even thinking about the marathon right now, but slowly you can build it up. But it's slow, steady steps, and that consistency is what counts in terms of your health. And then the same with your nutrition, right? It's gentle nutrition. You said it earlier, and I didn't want to interrupt you, but most of the time. We want to be eating healthy most of the time. I feel like I should get that on a T-shirt, that slogan, because I say it so often.
Most of the time,
yeah.
Right.
Because, again, it comes back to consistency, not perfection. We want to be eating, if you're eating healthy and making healthy choices most of the time, you're doing an amazing job. Because we want to be eating for real hunger most of the time, and choosing foods that make our bodies run more optimally, feel good. But every now and then you're going to want the pleasure foods, not because you're stressed out or stress eating, not because you're hungry, just because, I walked past the bakery and I saw that chocolate chip cookie and I just feel like that. Then have the chocolate chip cookie. The only thing I ask around that is sit down, plate it out, eat it mindfully, enjoy the eating experience. If you indulge in your cravings in small bouts and you're focused and on your eating experience, you are less likely to binge on them later or 2 days later, whatever that is. So there is space for those pleasure or taste foods, if you like. Mm-hmm. But, that's why I say most of the time you're eating healthy, you're doing an amazing job.
In the part about exercise that you had mentioned,
mm-hmm.
I know it can be difficult for some, but what you stressed is important to find something that you like.
Yes.
So whether it is a dance class, team sport, for me, a lot of things are off the table now, but I've had to adjust to be like, okay, what kind of physical activity can I do that's okay for my body at this point? And all I know is that no matter what I do, at the end of it, I feel great. So that I guess it's that dopamine again, that or endorphins that are just released.
Yeah.
And you never feel bad after a workout. Never. No matter what you're doing. It's just, I mean, maybe perhaps if you've, pulled a muscle or broke your ankle or something, but that's a whole other different case, extreme case to look at. But you always feel great after working out.
Yeah.
And usually comes with if you're going to fuel your body after that, you're going to look at a meal it helps. It's conducive to what you were just doing. Yeah. You worked out. You want to fuel your body with something that's good and nutritious. I'm rarely do I hit the cookies after I've hit the gym. Rarely. I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Yeah, but you feel more empowered and more in control, right?
Yes.
And so you make more in control food decisions as well. You're not in that panic binge phase.
Right.
And you're right, it's about how you feel. And so a lot of the work in intuitive eating is, and a lot of my clients, I make them journal it. How do you feel after your exercise? And hang on to that feeling, because it isn't about burning the calories. It is about making your body, I always say it's like electricity running through your body. You feel alive when you're exercising to your level, not that you're pushing beyond into pain. Right. There's, you should always challenge yourself, but not to pain or that it's uncomfortable, you hate it. And if you're in that zone, not only do you feel like you've accomplished something, so you do feel that empowerment, but and all the physicality of the endorphins and all that, feel good feeling, but it's such a sense of achievement and accomplishment, and that helps you, feel more in control, that you can make better decisions.
It makes you want to go after that feeling again.
Exactly.
That felt really good. I want that feeling again.
Yeah.
And it becomes a little easier each time to go after that feeling. And that's where the consistency, in my experience, that's where the consistency comes in.
Yeah, and it's called intrinsic motivation. So you have internal reasons for doing that, whereas I feel good, I feel better, my body runs better, versus extrinsic, which is the burning the calories, winning the trophy. So those they can be motivators, but they're not long-term motivators. And that's why when we pick things that we enjoy and that we know that we can accomplish, even if it's a stretch time, like we still have to challenge ourselves, but we know it's still something we can do, we are more likely to stay consistent with it.
Right. All right. Do we have any other principles to...
No, we've reached the end of those principles.
Hey,
yeah.
All right. Lynn just reminded me we have one last break here, so we're going to go into a break. And a reminder for people, if you want to call in, we can have open mic after this. 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, 949-6990. WhatsApp us at 925-3261. But before we go to that break, Taryn, I want to know if there's anything else we should know about intuitive eating. Is if you're looking just for weight loss and you're trying to do this right away, is this something that you should incorporate? Or would perhaps a diet, even though 95% of the time they don't work, would mixing the two together be more ideal for that situation?
No, it's not. It's never good to mix. I can intuitive eat and do keto or whatever that is.
Okay.
It's not a diet. So when you want to combine it with a diet, you're going to turn it into a diet, and it's counterintuitive. The same if you want a fad diet where you just lose a lot of weight really quickly, this is not for you. This is not. Weight loss might be a byproduct of this, but it is really about changing your behavior around food so that you lose that food obsession. So if you're sick and tired of dieting and falling off and dieting and falling off, and all that food obsession and feeling really out of control about food, this is for you.
Okay. I might just have to try this out. This sounds like I could eat the cookies. Not as much as I'm eating them now, but for sure. If people want to get in touch with you, if they're interested in your services, how can they reach you?
Yeah, they can reach me on my website, mindshiftme.com. All my contact details are there via email or on my Instagram feed, which is, you mentioned it earlier, it's mind.shift.me. And yeah, I'm happy to talk about this, like I said, all day, any day. So,
okay. Any last words for our listeners?
No, thanks for listening. And if anyone does have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Kathy.
It was been a pleasure having you on, and hopefully I will take some of these principles and what I've learned today, incorporate them into a better relationship with food going forward for me, and we'll see what happens from there. But thanks for joining us today on Talk Today.
Thanks, Kathy.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
20 years.
Remember when Crew Road had no median and Linford Pearson was only 2 lanes?
We do.
When Dirty Reeds was down the street?
We do.
We have been there for the falls, the growth, and the rise. When your body and mind needed to change, Powerhouse Gym has been here. We've skated with you. Your first date, your daughter's first time on skates, your son's first strike. From football to squash, to karate and hockey, to bowling and concerts, and everything in between.
For 20 years.
So much has changed, some for the good and some not so much. Through it all, King Sports Center has been here for you, for Cayman.
King Sports Center, celebrating 20 years as Cayman's home for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
In an effort to reduce the risk of fires at the Georgetown landfill, the Department of Environmental Health has updated policies for scrap metals, derelict vehicles, and equipment which can be dropped off to the Georgetown landfill Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. only. Vehicles should be separated from other waste and must be thoroughly emptied of all waste, batteries, and flammable material. Scrap metal should be sorted before arrival and free of waste and contamination. Batteries and electrical items should be separated from all other waste. For more information on how you can help prevent landfill fires and where to recycle, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman News.
Police investigate 2 fatal shootings with a 3rd victim passing away of his injuries.
Without evidence, we can't charge them or prove the case to the court.
This SPS will guide the development of the detailed budget for the next budget period.
The division seems more intense than it actually is.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. We just have a few minutes left and it's open mic, so if you'd like to give us a call, anything you want to talk about, the numbers are 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp me at 925-3261. I was going to get DJ Lynn to chat with me for a few minutes, but he ignored my request there. So it's me talking to the rest of the Cayman Islands right now and whoever's out there listening to us this afternoon. We do have, as I hope you've heard our PSA that's played a couple times in the past hour, we do have a warning for a tropical storm. It's tropical storm Grace. At 10 a.m., I don't have the exact updates with the PSA had it, but at 10 a.m. she was located 17.7 north and 71.4 west, about 566 miles southeast of Cayman Brac. And I believe it is tomorrow night. The forecast track, the Center of Grace, is saying that tomorrow night around midnight going into early Wednesday morning, Grace will be passing right over Little Cayman. So, Little Cayman, I hope you guys are hunkering down. You're getting ready just in case things take a turn for the worse. And in our PSA that was airing in the past hour, It was mentioned that they don't think it's going to be anything more than the storm that it is right now. So that's something to look at. But we do know that things can change on a dime. So just prepare yourselves. And that's also a warning for all of us in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac. Sometimes we wait until really the last minute, which is me all the time, the last minute, because I don't think it's coming. And then boom, it comes. And then it's everybody's racing to the supermarket, to the home stores, trying to get everything they need to secure themselves for the hurricane season and the impending storms. So we don't want to be in that situation. If you were listening to me today, earlier in the show, we did have Michael Miles, the owner and director of Inspire Cayman Training. He was talking about the 12 scholarships that he has now available through Build Your Future Cayman. He received funding for these 12 scholarships, and these are for people who have lost their job in the tourism or water sports industry within the Cayman Islands due to COVID. We know that tourism got hit probably the worst, and a lot of people did lose their jobs, while some may have been able to transition elsewhere into a different field, different career temporarily. And a lot of people are itching to go back into tourism, and who wouldn't want to? I mean, Cayman Islands is a beautiful place to be able to sell your island, to sell it as a product to people who are visiting and share the great experiences you can have in Cayman. I can understand wanting to go back into that industry. And that could require some new skills training, some upgrading skills. So these scholarships that are being offered, it was done because Michael was saying that he spoke to CETA, Cayman Islands Tourism Association, along with work, and they found some gaps in the industry where people could receive training. So my assumption is that they were speaking to the hotel operators, the different food and beverage establishments that are out there, the different attractions, and saying, okay, we've lost people here. They've gone back to their home countries, or we need to develop Caymanians to work in this certain area with us in tourism. And so of these scholarships that are being offered, I can't remember the exact amount, but it was $2,800 per scholarship, plus a stipend. So you get a daily stipend as well if you're one of the people that are accepted to be part of this scholarship. Now, this information just came out to us last Thursday. Build Your Future Cayman and Inspire Cayman Training released this information that they were offering these 12 scholarships. And already, from Thursday afternoon, they've had just over 50 applicants, and Michael mentioned that he narrowed it down to 35. You can still get in touch with him if you're interested, because you go on a bit of a wait list where he's able to see if he can get training or immerse you into a training course or a course to upgrade your skills. And that's also dependent on funding. We can't get anything done without funding. Businesses don't just operate out of thin air. We need money to make things happen. So if you are a business, you're a corporation, or just a private individual that wants to help fund people in the tourism and water sports industry to help them attain a scholarship, please do get in touch with Michael Miles at Build Your Future Cayman or Inspire Cayman Training. We do have a phone call, so let's take that caller. Good afternoon. How are you? Welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
How are you doing? It's been months that I haven't spoke to you.
Yes. Today, at least, we hear a beautiful voice, not a Dwayne voice all the time.
Dwayne has a beautiful voice too.
Yes. I really just want to quickly say something here. I see a video being put out. Two of the PPM members of Parliament, they are doing some event in Wednesday Park. And it's really humiliating to those children. They videoing those children, giving them free pizza. I mean, what is that to do? With the general public. If you are giving young children pizza, free pizza, why you need to video them and publish it in public? I mean, it is we need to have some shame. You know, I am talking here to David White and Joe Hugh. Why you are videoing those children? If you given free pizza to the children, you shouldn't be videoing them to promote yourself, or you doing something good for the community if you claim you are doing. I mean, those children need better education, better future, better park. Look at the park they was sitting in. That park, it destroyed. It need redo. Are those two MLAs, they give money, $10,000, for example, to buy a new swings and new slides for the children to play in that place? They raised your salary now. Give the difference in the raise. You get, every MLA should give some money from that raise. They're raising their own salary, but the civil servants, the Caymanians, they're not raising their salary. They are the ones suffering, not the MLAs. It is very sad what is going on in this country. You see every government come, you think this is the best government in the world, and then you surprised that the same issues, the same problems, the same behavior, the same attitude. I mean, it is very sad, you know, how those kids being humiliated, and this guy showing in the video saying free pizza, like those kids don't have families who can feed them.
So can I ask, why do you think that's humiliating to those children?
Humiliating because you can't go feed children, and you can't feed children and you go video them and put it in general public. That's a humiliating.
Was it a family? Do you have more context to what this event was? Was it a family fun day? Was it a community gathering in the park? I can't ask you where you live exactly, but I live near Windsor Park, and I know it's it's the only park besides Dart Park in Georgetown that's available for people to be hanging out in and kids to be having fun in. So, well, when I say park, that's really called a park. So yes, there's a couple of empty fields, or the track by the high schools there down behind Walker's Road where the schools are. But then that's, you know, certain hours as well. And there's no swing sets or anything like that for the children. It's just a track in a field. So, you know, what's the gripe about Windsor Park? They have a place, and it's needed. And it's just the upkeep does happen because it's somewhat my community, so I know that the upkeep does happen. But why do you think it's a humiliating thing to have an event where, you know, it calls people in the community together to share some good times, eat some food?
I am not against the event. I am against videoing those children and put it in general public.
But that's PR. You know, that's what people do. That's a PR move, right?
I invite you for lunch, and I video that, and I said, I invite this person to lunch and I feed him. Is it humiliating? Is not disrespectful to the children of this country what David White and Joe Hugh did. That is in my opinion.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your opinion. I do agree with you that it would be nice for civil servants to get a salary increase, though. I will end on that note and say I do agree with you on that point, sir.
Those MLAs, they increase their own salary, but they are not looking to the minimum wage. $6 is that can feed anybody in this island? No. And the civil servant salary, why it don't raise with the raise of the MLAs?
Well, I don't know. I thought there was a promise, or I could be wrong, that raise wasn't going to happen for MLAs. But again, I could be wrong. I can't remember what was said months and months ago about that. But those are certainly things for us to think about. And on that note, we're coming to the end of our show today on Talk Today. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours include